right now I'll be showing you how to do a complete architectural drawing. So right now on the screen you can see our floor plan. This is a presentation drawing of a floor plan. Assuming a client gives you a job to do, the first thing you do is your floor plan and show it to him. Once he approves your floor plan and tells you whatever you have done here is good and he loves it, then you proceed and produce for him the perspective view that is rendered, as you can see. So I did two perspective view of this floor plan. So uh, as the client has also approved the perspective view and the floor plan, so the next thing I will do is to develop the drawing. To develop a drawing means to produce the working drawings. To produce the working drawing, the drawings I will be taking to site to carry out its constructions. So right now what I'll be doing now is the working drawing of this design. So I will have to move out all these I've done here. So I'll use my mark cube. Once I highlight the entire building, since I want to remove this mesh, I make use of mesh in this. So I'll just highlight mesh. I will click on mesh, Control A. I will highlight everything that has to do with mesh here, and I can also highlight this surrounding slab and this fence wall, because I just inserted them here because of rendering. So since I'm done with rendering, I'm done with presentation drawing, so I can then move them. I will not actually delete them, I'll just move them. Control D. I will drag them to a position that it's not visible by this my elevation point. So I'll click on escape, then I'll also move this one to that side. So I'll drag them to a position that they are not visible by this my elevation point. So since you can actually also join this elevation point together, especially in the case where it's not covering my entire building, but for me it's covering my entire building. So I'm just going to do this because of you, so that all your building, when you're opening the elevation, everything will be captured. That's why I'm joining this together. So perfect. So after doing that, I can also move this. I can even also enlarge it if I want to with resize, which is K. I enlarge it. You can also reduce it if you want to. So after I'm done with removing all my rendering additives like my fencing, mesh, and everything, and now I'm now having just the floor plan, and I want to produce the working drawing. So this is not how a full detailed working drawing for a floor plan is. So I will start by putting the grid line, the grid element too. So no matter the version you are using, if you're using a newer version, you see a grid element in your design too. So I'll double click on grid element to open the settings. Now in grid element 2, we have the font size. Under the marker settings, we have the font. What size do you want? You can make yours be 3.50, and this is now the size of the marker. Is that yours is circular or pentagon or square? The size of the marker. So in most cases in your ArchiCAD, yours comes with circle. You can also change it to whatever marker shape you want. You can change it to whatever marker shape you want. Remember, you can change that. I will just open it again. Like I was saying, you can change your marker shape to whatever size. Like you can see circle, yours can be circle. You can see square, yours can be square. You can see pentagon, you can see hexagon. Also, this is hexagon. So it depends on you, whatever shape you want. It also add graphics to your design and make sure this distinct, because what is more popular in our society are usually circular shapes. So after I'm done with that, I love my font and the font size. I love the shape because I don't want it to be big. Some people are actually 10 will make yours to be so big, and it will make the font smaller and the and the marker shape bigger. And once it's bigger, it starts clashing with the nearest grid line. So once I'm done with this, I then move over. You can actually reduce the length, the height of your marker size. Since I'm just doing a bungalow, I can make mine to be around, maybe say 5,000. Since it's a bungalow, I'm just projecting to 5,000. So and maybe minus by minus maybe 1,000. I'll just also do some editing. I'll do some editing. All these things can also be edited while you open your elevations or sections. So I'll click OK, and I will start inserting my grid element. Now this grid element is very important, especially during setting out of a building. It's very, very important because we will make reference to it while doing setting out. And now as you can see, I'm putting my grid line in the center, and this line is actually showing. One of the reasons why it's actually showing is that in my wall, while I'm designing my wall or setting the settings, I make sure that the construction method is in center. No matter any version you are using, you definitely see this in your wall default settings. Once it's on center, it makes it easier for me to just look for the center line of this wall. So I'll start placing a grid from there because I want mine to be centered. Once I place this, okay, starting from 8, no. So I want my vertical grid to be number, while my horizontal grid to be letters. So it's just your choice. In the construction side, they'll make reference to what you have done. So my horizontal grid, my vertical grid is now numbers. So this first one is 1. I move over to the next grid, which is this. This is 2. Make it a little bit taller. Especially for the dimension. So this is 2. The next one is 3. So let me just put a grid here, even though it's not really relevant because of it is very short. Let me just put the grid. Whenever you have short walls like this, you can neglect it if you wish to. If you wish to, you can neglect it. Okay. So move on to the next one, which is 4. So we'll just get the center point there. If your grid is actually on center the construction method and these center lines of directions are not showing, endeavor to make sure that your guideline is on, your special snap point is on, and also your show tracker is also on. So I'll move on to the next one, which is 5. It automatically generates it, just automatically generate it. So once I'm done with my horizontal grading, I'll move over to my vertical. Or once I'm done with my vertical, I'll move over to my horizontal because what I'm doing now is the vertical grading, and I want mine to be in numbers. I will not really say that there's actually any fixed guide or instruction that your vertical grid should be numbers or alphabet. What should you follow? Just that at the construction site, they will definitely follow what you have done. They will always make reference to your drawings. The most important thing is just to endeavor to put your grid lines because it will help the builder or the engineer who is going to construct or set out this building at the site. So I'm done with my vertical grid. I move over to my horizontal grading. To move over very fast, I just come over to this direction over here. I'll change it to what? Alphabet. Then I'll change start to A. So once I click on A, the next one is just automatically generated. So it just follows it. I think it knows about ABCD very well. Funny, right? So move over to my next one, which is B. You can see even though I reduce my size to 7.0, yet they're still clashing, but the clashing is not bad because they're not covering themselves. They're not covering, the B is not lapping totally on the A. They're still very visible. So I'll just leave it like that. But if yours is clashing, if your design is clashing, you can just from here adjust it a bit. Are you seeing what I'm doing? Is an adjustment. It will reflect on this side and also on this side. So that is just it. So if yours is clashing, so I'll move over to the next one, which is D. So I'll just map on D. So right now I need to be very fast, so to save time. The next one is E. Now I'm picking all my walls, though they're not composite, especially walls that are not long enough. You can just neglect it. At the side, I'll just easily map or easily locate it from the nearest grid. Okay, I missed this. So this is F. So this is G. Okay, why this is H? And this dining area we have the next one. Star H is I. Okay, we have a small door here. Though not really relevant because it's very small. The wall length is small. We'll just have to map everything. So that is J. The next is K. So right now I'm trying to do a complete working drawing. I'm done with my floor plan design and I've produced this perspective and it has been approved by the client. So I'll then move over to working drawing. When I'm done with that, so I'm almost done with my grid. So with this grid line, I'll be able to start opening up my elevations, sections, and other things. So right now, we'll start opening all my elevations. So I'll open my elevations first, my southern elevation. I'll open these so I can see the south elevation already. I can highlight and click copy. Then I'll paste this here. Okay, I'll open the next one. Note that I have to move this elevation point a little higher than this view, or we must ensure that this particular elevation line is not seeing this because the grid is a 3D element. This grid is a 3D element, so I must ensure that my elevation lines are not seen. So I'll have to move this a little bit up out of the elevation line or tracker. So I'll open this other elevation. I'll also highlight, copy, and paste. Bring it close to there. I'll open the back elevation. Copy and paste. I'm using Ctrl C to copy and Ctrl V to paste. Okay. Open elevation. Copy, Ctrl C and Ctrl V, paste. So I'll move this over here. So right now I'm done placing my elevations. Now in your own elevations, if yours is not representing like this, if yours is having some kind of feel, if yours is having feel on it, because mine is just completely plain, and you might be asking why is mine just plain like this? It's just very simple. Once you highlight all your elevations, right click, come over to, okay, once you highlight all your elevations, since you already brought it out already, once you highlight your elevations, or instead of highlighting it, just use your mark Q, highlight your entire elevation. Now if you're I'm saying this especially if your elevation is filled up with some kind of elements on it, is not as plain like mine. Use your mark Q and cover up your entire elevation and click Ctrl A. After clicking Ctrl A, it highlights everything inside this mark Q. Then click Ctrl Shift G, ungroup everything. After you have ungrouped everything, then you come over to fill. Once you click on fill, Ctrl A on fill, then delete. That is just the same way of, or you have another method. Before you open your elevation line, you highlight, before you start opening any elevation, you highlight all your elevations. Once you right click, you see elevation selection settings. Ensure that this few elements, few uncut surfaces with nothing. Ensure that it's on nothing before your home might be on uniform fill or uniform pen color. Ensure that this thing is on nothing before you start opening your elevation. So having said that, I'm done opening my elevation, so I can just do some little adjustment on them, which is I'll move this up, then I'll remove the grid at the down, which is this. I'll click on this to remove the grid at the down, and I move this up also, and also adjust this. I'll move this up too. Adjust this up, remove the down grid, all right. I'll do the same thing here also. Then I think the last one, which is the left elevation, move this up, move down grid. Then this, you can actually bring all this down. If you want to, you can arrange yours very well to lap perfectly. All right, so you can just arrange the dimensions line very well. All right, having done this, then to save time, I will just neglect the other ones. You can do that for your own. Just ensure that you arrange your line very well. At least let it look neat. So this is the elevation. So remember, elevations has some kind of base flow. So I'll make use of fill. I'll ensure that the first color is on black, and we'll make the second one also to be on black. A fill material, choose a black color, then use it for your basement floor, which is your ground level of your foundation. You can extend it to whatever you want while you move this forward. So as you can see, I can then duplicate it, Ctrl Shift D to other areas of your house. I make this more long. All right. So having done this, having done this basement, then to make my elevations more realistic, I'll make sure that I represent my elevations in line with the perspective. So at this perspective view, we are seeing bricks right here and bricks up. We have bricks at the DPC level and bricks at the roof level, while the rest are paint. So I'll represent this area with bricks and leave the rest as plain. So I'll come back to fill again. I'll change this to black. I'll retain it at black and change this to a white color. Then change this to a brick, maybe brick running bond. And I place the bricks here to make it look exactly like the perspective. Hope you get the idea. So that I will do it on all the areas of the house. I want to make it look exactly like the perspective. This is the back. There is no, it's like a slant roof. The roof there is very slanty. So that is why there is no wall here. It's open at the back. So I'll come back to the next one, which is the left elevation. Alright, so currently now I would have said that I'm done with my elevations, but sometimes a person's might like to also dimension here. If you love to do that in your own elevation, you can actually do that. A person might like to dimension this area in the elevation. So if you want to do that, you can also do that in your elevation. It's just simple. So, but me, I won't do that here. I will do that in my sectioning. So after I'm done here, I'll come back to test and maybe do a kind of basement. So right here, front elevation. All right, so I'm going to reduce this now with resize. Resize again. Maybe a little bit of resize. Yeah, and change the color with a more to make it complementary to the dimension. The blue. You can actually make it underline. Yeah, since it's kind of actually underline it here like this, so I can duplicate it to other areas. So this is right elevation. This is back elevation. While this is left elevation. So I'm done with my elevations. The next thing just to put the panel or the title block, whatever you call it. So I'll move over to the next thing, which is completely putting the external dimensions of this floor plan and also the roof plan also. But before I duplicate, I, I don't actually do my external dimension in here. I actually duplicate the copy while I retain the original copy of this design. So, but before I move that out, let me also bring out my door and window schedules, my door list and my window list. When you come back to this navigation project here, you will see a door list here and a window list. Once you open it, it shows you the list of doors you have in your design, the name of door, the quantity of the door, the number of doors, and everything to show you their quantity. So how can you copy this? Just go to edit. How can you bring this to your design for printing? You come to edit and click on copy. That's copied what is here. Come back to ground floor and paste it. Come to ground floor, you can then paste it. Control V, paste it. You can see. So I can now move this over to my design here. So do the same thing for window list too. Once I open my window schedules, I come over to edit, click on copy. After copy, I come over to ground floor and Control V, I paste it right here. Okay, then after I'm done with this, I also come, then let me also work on, let me also do a little working on it. Let me arrange this. So at the door list is showing me all the door size I've used, and if you watch, these two are actually the same, 750 by 21 and 750 by 21. But why it's bringing it in two places is because of the direction of the door. One is swinging to the right while the other is swinging to the left. One is swinging to the left while this one is swinging to the right. So I'll just choose one. I'll just have to choose one at the floor plan. Then I'll just have to choose just one. So I'll make this one to be then 4. I'll bring out, I have this one 2 and this one 2 in quantity. So I'll just make this to be okay. Before I actually can edit anything, I have to ungroup it. So I have to ungroup the entire thing. So Control Shift G. I've ungrouped it. So now I can now edit in the flop. I can now edit the door and the window list now. So I'll change this to 4. Change this to 4, which is adding this other 2. Why I delete this? I'm assuming that at the floor plan that will know the direction of flow or direction of swinging. Same thing applies to 1 2 by 2 1. So I can join this to this. Okay, this one we have, okay, it does not apply here actually. Here we have 1 2 by 2 1 and 1 2 by 2 1. But the difference is that this one is swinging, this is sliding door, so it does not apply here. So I just join my doors together. So after joining, I can now edit this. All right, so I'm done with my doors schedule. So I'll come back to window schedules. So all these particular openings here are my arches, those empty window openings I use in my design. So this is what that in fact is bringing me everything window I inserted in my design. So why all these ones here are the empty window openings of different sizes I used in my design. So since I'm doing just window list, I will just have to delete all this. So I'll delete all this. So I'll come back to windows I used. So I have windows of 600 by 600 repeating itself. This one is 3, this one is 1. I'll make this one to be 4. Why I delete the other one? I'm adding the other one to it. I'll make this to be 4. Why I delete this? Same thing applies to 1000 by 15. We have 1 here and 8 here. So I'll make this to be 9. Why I delete the other one? So the quantity now is 9. I'm going to delete this. Okay, this is 750 by 1. It's all these windows here are different, so I'll join these together. If you watch in my door list also, you can watch that the smaller window started first, then continues to the bigger one. The smaller window started first. We have 750 by 21, 900, 1 2. It was not scattered. Same thing should also apply in my window schedules also to make it more uniformly. So we have a window of 600. The next that should come in line should be the smallest, the next smaller than this. So that will make me to adjust my window to rearrange it to make sure that the smaller one comes first. Though I'm not saying it's a must, but to make sure work looks nice while you're presenting it, it's just necessary to add some ideas to your work. So this is one of the things I do. So we have 600, 600 by 600 is 450 by 15, 750 by 18, 1000 by 15, 1000 by then 12 by 15, just to make it looks uniform, like as if it's progressing. So I'll do this here. and I can trim off this other part too. I can just trim this off since it's very long. Come over to split, then I split this off, delete the other part while I join these together. Alright, done. So I'm done with my doors and windows schedules. I can just bring them closely and separate it a bit. So I can then get one of these and also write here doors and windows schedule. So once I'm done with this, I can then move it a little bit far, because this is actually one of the last page or the last page in my architectural working drawing. So I move over to the next phase. So I want to then bring out my floor plan, Ctrl Shift D, and my roof plan. So I come over to my first story to get my roof plan. So copy, Ctrl C, come over to my ground floor and paste. So I paste this here. So this is my roof plan and my floor plan. So I want to work on the working drawings now. So I see I will just delete everything roof in my ground floor. So since I'm just concerned about my, I can also delete this DPC because it's no more relevant here, but it's still in my original copy. That's why I'm duplicating this, so that I won't delete what I need if I want to make references in the future. So I'm just duplicating everything. So right now I will start dimensioning. Now there are two ways to do this. We have the automatical dimension and the manual dimension. I believe we all know the manual dimensioning, but the automatical dimensioning, I will just how to now we want to dimension this floor plan using the automatical method of dimensioning. What we're going to do is to come over to mark you. I'll cover the entire area of this design or of the wall, any of them. I'll come over to, after marking, I'll come over to wall. Once I click on wall, I click Ctrl A. I highlight all the walls only. Come over to document. Come over to document extra. I'll see automatic dimension here. I'll come over to exterior dimensioning. When I come to exterior dimensioning, the wall hole size, everything there is okay. What I will just, and I make sure that these three things are ticked. Dimension structures are ticked. Dimension external geometry are ticked. Overall dimension are ticked. Then this is now the differences or the distance in the distance apart between the first dimension line or the second dimension line. If 500 is too small, you can make yours be around 800. Then it's not your choice if you want to place the dimension on the four sides of the house. So I want to do that in my dimensioning. I want it to dimension everything at once. Now click OK. Now how to place this? You come over to, you zoom in at this black point, just do a little bit stretching out, then hit the hammer. After hitting, you can also stretch this also hard, then hit the hammer here. You can see it's just automatical dimension this house. So right now then you can click on escape. Right now I've automatically dimension the house, and this is how it is meant to be. So I've dimensioned this house automatically, and I've dimensioned this floor plan automatically. But the whole thing is that we don't really necessarily need this particular one here. This one here is for grid, so I'll just use my alternate key to pick this up, then dimension for grid separate, because it does not dimension the grid element, because it does not dimension what the grid 2 element 2, so dimension for grid separate. So that is just the only difference I'll just add to the design. So the dimension is actually very perfect and neat. You can see the first line is the end-to-end dimension, where it's picking everything, both the end, the windows and the arches and the doors, everything that is seen is picking. The second one is now picking from wall end to wall, from wall to wall dimensioning. The third line is now the grid dimensioning, while the fourth one is the total length dimension. So after I'm done with that, I can also delete can move this a little bit down, then delete this because I don't need this. I can duplicate this. Instead of dimensioning that side again, just duplicate this, Ctrl Shift D, bring it to this side. So the same thing applies here. I can delete this, use my mark, use my dimension to dimension for the grid. That is the reason why I'm putting the must dimension the grid too. You must dimension the grid too. Okay, once I'm done with that, I can then separate it a little bit more. And then delete this while I duplicate the other one back there. Ctrl Shift D. As you can see right now, I'm almost done with my working drawings. So this is how a full working drawing should be. Not just only having only your internal dimensioning, but also your external dimensioning. You can add more graphics to your design by making the total length much more bigger or bolder, much more bolder. You can see what I did. I highlighted it and right click, then change this to 2000, then add mm in small letter, then make it to be 4. You can do this to make it add more graphics to your work. I highlight this. I can do this for the other side. Since they have the same dimensioning, I click on dimension test settings, change this to 15, 650, add mm, then 4. So right now I'm done dimensioning this aspect of this. I'm done with the working drawings of this area, so I can just copy, Ctrl Shift D, move over here and write my floor plan test. Write my ground floor plan. Alright, I'll move over to my next one, which is my roof plan. I'll do the same thing for my roof plan. I'll just dimension it the way it is. I can delete these external slabs I used in my design. They are not needed. I'll just start dimensioning my floor plan. I'll click on dimension 2 and start dimensioning them. This is the first one. The next one is the grid dimension. While the last one is total dimension or total length. Following the same procedure, I can change this to 16,288 mm. Change this to 4 to make it more bold. Alright, I come to the back side of the house and do the same thing. So since at this back side of the house we'll have only 2 dimensions, which is the total length and the grid. So we are just going to have only 2 dimension lines here. Okay, I did a mistake, escape. You must ensure that you picked it at the right point. Right click, OK, drag it down and pick. So I'll highlight this also. Dimension test 10, 300 mm. Change this to 4. OK. So I'll come back to this left hand side and do the same thing. While these two remain the same. Ctrl Shift D. Okay, I'm missing that my dimensioning. All right. So I do for the front side also, front elevation. These two also remains the same. Perfect. Right now we're done with the floor plan, roof plan, elevations, and doors and window schedules. So let's just quickly do a very quick site plan, very quick site plan. So the first thing I'll do is just to reproduce my survey plan in my ArchiCAD. I believe we have a video before in our YouTube channel on how to reproduce your site plan, your survey plan in ArchiCAD. How to reproduce your survey plan with ArchiCAD. So I'm going to use CAD image to do that very fast, but there are other methods to also use. So we're going to use CAD image, come over to site and margins and click on survey boundary lines. Then we'll click here in the ArchiCAD. Once I click here, this bearing and length shows the bearing there I'm starting with is the left hand side. So we have 36, the degree change to point 37. So the bearing is then expressed in millimeter, which is 15,370 is expressed in millimeter. So I'll click on add. You can see that we produced that one. The next one is 126.28 in bearing, while the distance is 28,350 expressed in millimeter. You can check our YouTube video on how to reproduce if survey plan in ArchiCAD very fast. So the next one is 174 in bearing, 0.21, 174.21. Then the bearing is 3.28, which is 3280 expressed in millimeter. Add. And the next bearing is 216.50. Then the length is 12,920. I click on add. And the next bearing is 306.26. Then the distance is 30,500. Add. We need to close it. So this is the survey plan for this design we're going to use. I'll click on finish. So to draw the roads, I can just offset this a little bit, or I can make this as a reference. Then we can save this. The road can be 6 meters. Control Shift D. We have 6,000. So expressing the road to be in 6 meters. Then we can also offset this. Control Shift D. Okay. I can make this as reference, or this as reference. Control Shift D. Then 6 meters. 6,000. So we can stretch this, and also stretch this and this. So we can trim with Control key what we don't need. Okay, so I can actually split this one now. Okay, and stretch this now, and this too. Now I can split this also. Okay, then the road should have a different line from the boundary, so the line should be short dashes like this, while the boundaries should be very much thick, around 2 meters, Yeah, around 2 meters. Then you can see the main weight by right clicking and through line weight to show you the exact weight of the house. So this one should be fenced, the road should be fenced, while the building should be thick. So this is how the plan should be. Then to bring in your building into the survey plan, then you can move this, unclick the survey lines or the section lines, Ctrl Shift D, bring it here, mark you. Then we'll start deleting what we don't need. Like you can start deleting from the door, highlight the door, Ctrl A, click on window, Ctrl A, click on slab, Ctrl A, click on dimensions, Ctrl A, and text, Ctrl A, even object, Ctrl A. Then what else is there? Line, Ctrl A, and delete. So the line was not deleted, Ctrl A, and we have something like morph also in that design, Ctrl A. Then let's see if we have roof again, Ctrl A. Then I'll make it just to have just only one, just only the line there, Ctrl A. And I can make this to be through line width again. Then I'll make it of a line. I want to place my building, and my building I want to place should be in a line format. So I'll make this to be the thickest line I have, which is 3.00 millimeter. Then I'll use it to trace the building, making sure that it is on chain geometrical method. And I will trace my building with a line, making sure that I did no mistake. After tracing my building, I can then use my mark here again to delete the wall, Ctrl A. So this is now the line. I can then bring it over to the site plan. This is how to place your wall in your slide. And bring it to one edge, Ctrl E. Make it to lap at one side of the house. So you can see I've gotten a perfect lap, Ctrl D. You can centralize it based on the choice of the client around 2.5. So each side has about 2.5. Then assuming this is where the gate is, assuming the gate is here, you can bring this a little bit forward to create space at the back, around 3 meters space at the back. So the building is now well placed. You can click on through line way to see the beauty of what you have done so far. Also, when it comes to fencing, fencing is not a continuous line. We have a boundary line for fencing, which is this. So this is how it will be presented. Then we can then hash this design using fill. You can have some kind of fill using something like face brick or fireproofing. You can hash this. Then we can write on it also. And also write on it, which is proposed building. Can underline it. If it's not bold enough, you can use your K. Once you click on K, you can resize the proposed building to make it to be plain background. What you just do is you also come to fill. Once you come to fill, ensure that this is on white background. Then unclick this contour line type just to make your proposed line to be on a plain background like this. Okay, you can unclick this now. So you can see I've made it to be on a plain background. So this is just almost like a site plan almost ready. This is a site plan that is almost ready. So the next thing to do, you can actually start dimensioning, but I like dimensioning out of true line width. Then start dimensioning my site plan. You know, when it comes to site plan, the dimensioning should be much bigger or much bolder. So you can start dimensioning your site plan. So after dimensioning, you can just move over to other things like maybe calculate the area of your land, calculate the area of your building, and do some little calculations here and there to finish up with your design. So this is just how a working drawing is done. A working drawing is done. So unfortunately, what I've not been able to show you guys is how to draw a section, but we're going to do that in our next video coming up on working drawings also. So I'll, based on time, I'll not be able to show you guys how to draw a section. So you can make yours much more straight. You can make yours much more straight by dimensioning this. Okay, so you can also dimension from this point to this point, showing the distance of the compound of activities. Alright, remember when it comes to road in architecture, a road that is continuous will make use of a wavy line like this. So and duplicate it to other areas of the land or the site plan to show that this place is continuous. Yeah, you can actually place the gate right here. Alright, so right, I'm almost done with my site plan. Almost done my site plan. There's nothing really much to do. So I'm just showing you how to just do a very simple and fast site plan. Next thing you can do is just to calculate your area of your land and your building, then your area vacant and built up area of your site plan as you usually do in your architectural drawings. So I believe you have been blessed with this video. Kindly like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more amazing videos on this. You can actually also use your perspective view as a cover photo for your design.